What's up, PB Casheville? We've got a very special episode today. Today we honor those that gave their lives for us. Today on the PB and Cashew Show.
What's up, PB Cashew Bill? It's your boy Cashew, and right beside me is.
PB!
How you doing today, PB?
Good, good. I actually was off these past couple days, so just had some time to be able to rest and recuperate. Spend some time with my mom and my family. It was good.
That's good. That's good. You know what? I've been starting getting back to making beats.
Oh, really? Have you?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think that you stopped.
I kind of did. Like it was on and off, but I'm gonna try to make more. I made recently like 3 new ones, I think.
Yeah, make use of that, the Soundtrap account. By the way, shameless plug. Even though we're not sponsored by anybody, I think it's cool to just let everybody know what we use. We actually use Soundtrap on the internet to be able to compose all of our different musics. The only one that's still an original is the one that the old one, which we haven't used in forever.
I know we haven't used it in a while.
I worked hard on that one, but we do use Soundtrap for it. I think they give a free trial for about 14 days. Play around with it, impress your friends with your DJ prowess, and you know what? Matt's starting to become a real pro at it. We were able the one that we just did for today. We did that in about 10 minutes or so.
Probably around 10 to 15
10,
minutes.
15 minutes. And I know it's not perfect, but still pretty good for like a couple of amateur mixer guys.
And I know it's a little different from our, upbeat ones, but
Yeah.
it's Memorial Day this week, so we wanted to try to do something a little different.
Yeah,
Something a little bit more like, I guess you could say smooth and not too upbeat.
right. Yeah, and because it's more somber. Somber is, I think, the best way to describe it. Something that's not like super sad, but also just makes you kind of think about it. Because that's really what Memorial Day is all about. I used to think when I was stupidly that Veterans Day and Memorial Day were practically the same thing. No, but Memorial Day is for the ones that gave their lives, to go in memory of the people that gave up their lives. And Veterans Day is for those that are still alive. So Memorial Day always has a special place in my heart because it encourages me, and I hope it encourages all of you out there, just to go back and think about how our freedoms are not free. That many years ago, there were young people that were giving up their lives for the birth of this country, to keep it together, to show that we're also a country that cares about other people's needs, and it also to fight against tyranny in foreign shores, to make sure that small like tyrant like regimes are also put down, and also trying to make sure that the world is a better place for everybody. See, a lot of folks think about war as just this terrible thing, but sometimes when it's in defense of the values and the freedoms that we have, then war, I believe, is something that we need to have. We need to have. What are your thoughts on that, Matt?
It's a lot. Memorial Day is, like you said, is more for us to mourn for the ones that, the lost, that fought in the war and then gave their life and they lost their life because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is true, I mean, there are times where you think about it, like when I was younger, when I was thinking about it, or even sometimes to this day, it's like, was war necessary? But at the same time, it's like, without war, if it, not trying to say it is necessary, but without war, we wouldn't have our freedom,
Mm-hmm.
I think all the way back to the Boston Tea Party. And, like, that time when they trying to,
Revolution.
the Revolutionary War, where
Yeah.
they wanted to be away from England,
Mm-hmm.
and then we became our own, country. So and then I also think about like the Civil War, that whole situation, with the whole slavery and stuff like that. Without
Right.
the Civil War, you know, if there was no Civil War, there would still be probably slavery.
Yeah,
Most likely, there'll
absolutely.
probably be slavery.
And we could possibly be two different
Countries,
countries.
because
We'd
you have
be
the South versus
would be yeah,
was it South versus North? North
North versus
versus
South.
South, or South versus North, whatever one you want to say.
Yeah.
But it'll be because we had different ideas, and so thinking
Yeah.
about, and then World War I, World War II, if everything if we didn't get involved, the whole situation
Mhm.
with Hitler and stuff, that would have been crazy. So sometimes you look at it and you be like, why did we need war? Why war happened? And sometimes war happened is because of other people.
Right. And wars happen sometimes. I think it's it's always that concept of good versus bad. If there, because there's still gonna be evil in the world, right? And usually war is happens to go up against that evil, whichever side of the conflict that you're at. It's like if you're on one side of the conflict, the folks that you're fighting is the evil. And if you're the other side of the conflict, no, actually it works both ways.
It
It's
was
like
both
yeah,
ways,
so but it's always this constant clash of good versus evil, like us versus them kind of thing. And I used to ask my dad, "Is like, is it possible to eliminate war?" It's impossible to eliminate war because everyone is still going to have their differences in terms of what they believe in.
Yeah, it's true. Some people might say, let's be honest, I'm not trying to get all crazy, but there's some people that probably think slavery is still good, and then there's some people that think that slavery is not good.
The whole world
The,
should think that slavery is not good, but it's so crazy that you mentioned that there are still places in the world where slavery still does exist.
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
But one thing I am glad is like it's not here no more. It's not in America really. Like what I'm saying.
What about our taxes?
Well,
No, I'm not. We're not gonna go in there.
I'm
No.
just talking about
I love
general.
pay. You know what? We have to pay our taxes.
And then not only that, it's just like I said, there's just a lot of things you could think of. People said we're gonna have world peace, but will we ever have world peace? Is the question.
Yeah, because again, it's because people are human. People are human and have their own whatever. There's gonna be opposing sides to the conflict. Even if people agree to disagree, there's gonna be some folks that I have to make my stand, and I really have to make sure that what I'm saying or what I'm doing is the right thing. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, "But what you're doing is the wrong thing," and so that's when people rise up.
Like think about it like this: the whole Ukraine and Russia
Correct.
situation.
Yeah.
Like we look at it as they're doing it wrong, but Putin's looking at it like, oh, we're doing the
The
right,
right thing. Yeah. It's like I'm liberating, and I'm not agreeing with him at all. I think that our presence there, and I think that it needs to be stopped. Not no, not our presence there, but our involvement to stop the Russians from continuing to fight there. Like our support of the Ukrainian people needs to continue. But on his side, it's like we're trying to reunify all of the Russian peoples, which he believes is
Right way.
the righteous way.
And then you have like things like what Israel and versus like the whole Middle Eastern
Well,
recently.
that's as old that's as old
old
as
it gets.
as Jacob and Esau, man.
Yeah,
So
so like there's always gonna be war, but Memorial Day is for us to to remember the ones that lost their lives, And I'm gonna say there was people that were my age who went.
oh no,
to
not
war.
not just
Even younger actually.
You're
When every time when I was a teenager, I remember you used to say a lot, and I remember a lot of when I go to church, a lot of pastors said, kids your age, they were like 16, 17,
Yeah.
18, even 15-year-olds, all went to war to fight for their country. Can you even do them? Like, and when I was at the age, I'm like, I don't know, can I actually do that? It's like that's a scary thought. Right
It is
there.
a scary thought. Like I was reading an article about. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick here. His name was. Oh man, I lost it. But he was from Long Island, and he was 16 years old at the time of World War II. He lied about his age.
Oh, I heard.
Lied
this
about
story.
his age, and then so when he got to England, one of his commanding officers said, "Son, you're gonna go on a wonderful trip across the English Channel. And then he was so young that he said to himself and to the other people, "Is like, you know what? I'm so glad that I'm just surrounded by a large group of veterans." And one guy turns to him and says, "Son, after today, you are gonna be a veteran." And he's 16 years old, and then he's gonna go and charge at a heavy machine gun nest in order to make sure other guys can cross that particular path. That's the and he still survived, thankfully. And Memorial Day, I know, is for those that passed, but think about all of the other guys that went before him. If you watch Saving Private Ryan, if you play Call of Duty, the World War II Call of Duties, that actually was happened where as soon as the ramps drop, it's nothing but machine gun fire. Just machine gunning as soon as they come out. And so many people died during that one engagement on Omaha Beach. All the other beaches were fine, but Rommel and the Germans said, "You know what? We need to strengthen this particular spot." And all those guys on Omaha Beach, man, it's great. And it's people that weren't just going to fight, but people dying your age. A lot of our teenagers are like 17 and 18, their age, dying. Imagine that. Like, imagine Lucas, hi Lucas, if you're, and Brian on a beach, and then they're charging a machine gun nest.
Imagine us.
Imagine us,
It's
like
honestly,
non-conscious.
I'm not gonna lie, like that's kind of like a scary thought.
Yeah.
Cause like, I know people who've been, we know people who went to war. We know people that died from war.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like, we never think about it. Cause like, yeah, it's Memorial Day, but like when we also think about it, we talk about Veterans Day.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's something we don't understand. It's like that messes with their minds.
Oh, undoubtedly.
That like
Undoubtedly.
literally mess with the vet's mind.
Yeah.
They lost a loved one, a close one that was a friend of theirs in the army, Navy, military, wherever you want to go, and they lost a loved one, or
Yeah.
a friend, a close friend of theirs, and that really does mess up their mind.
Like most veterans that I've tried to talk to, especially like my dad, sometimes when I get a chance to talk to older folks at a nursing home, I'm always interested. It's like, yo, what was the war like? Oh man, what was it like fighting in Germany? Like there was one of my friends, her grandfather was actually fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and I really wanted to go talk to him, but he passed away sadly. But I would ask her, like, do you ever ask him about the war? And she's like, he never wants to talk about it. When I talked to my dad about his experiences of being a soldier in the Philippine Army, he doesn't want to talk about it because it's because it's painful.
It's painful.
Like,
You're isolated. You're kind of, let's be honest, you're kind of isolated. You're not with your family. When you first go, you're with a bunch of random people. They become your friend. But at the same time,
yeah,
there's some times where, and I heard, I don't remember who was it, but I remember hearing that there are times in war where you're wondering why you're killing this person, because they didn't even do anything to you, and sometimes you're looking at that and you're just like, sometimes they had that in their mind. It's like, in reality, am I killing someone who's innocent, who really hasn't done anything to me, or am I killing someone who is going to do something for me?
right.
And the mindset, in the military, in the Army, Navy, wherever you're at, you always got to realize that you don't know who your enemy is.
Right, exactly. That's one of those things because it's war. It's war. The person on that other side, you can't think about stuff like that because their order is to kill you. That's the simplicity of it. And when you have to think about those morality things, it's like it sucks. But this is what war really is.
What country is it? I think it's Japan, where they will sacrifice their life on a plane.
The Japanese.
It was the Japanese. They'll sacrifice their life before anything else.
Yeah, and I've heard of, and you can look this up. There were planes, kamikaze planes that they had, that they did not. They took out the ejection seat for it because they wanted, I think, to pack more explosives onto that plane. and the guys would just do it. And that's the crazy thing too. It's like that there's this sense of duty, but also this fanatical side of it. It's always an odd sense because on one hand you have guys also, I think on all sides that are willing to just hop, like in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or not the Winter Soldier, but Captain America, how he jumps onto the grenade.
Yeah.
If someone does that, that means that they'll be able to save a lot of people by doing that.
You know what movie I ran with thought of? I think it's American Sniper. Isn't it the one? With
Oh yeah,
Pitt?
with
That
that's usually the last movie that that I watch. But I'll get to that in a second. But you have that where like you have a guy that's willing to give up his life for his buddies, but then there's also this guy that's being forced to give up his life in a very fanatical way, and and I hate that's war.
There's a couple movies I'm thinking of, like, because I like to watch, when it comes to like war movies, I do like to watch based on a true story one.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I ever saw what's it called, Saving.
You've never seen Saving Private Ryan?
I feel like I might have saw a little bit of it. I'm not sure.
You've never.
I think I saw
Oh my
Pearl Harbor.
You saw Pearl Harbor, but not Saving Private Ryan.
I remember watching Pearl Harbor.
Okay.
There's a movie. Remember her Unbroken?
Unbroken's good.
Unbroken's a good one, and then you have American Sniper.
You've never seen Saving Private Ryan?
I feel like I've seen maybe a little bit of it.
Okay,
I
man,
have to watch it.
we're watching it after this. You're off today. I don't have to be anywhere until 5 o'clock. We're watching this.
I have to watch it.
We're
really
watching
do.
it. It's done. It's done. We're done. I have it on Amazon Prime. We will watch it because you have to watch this movie.
But like, there's a couple. I'm trying to think of. There's a couple movies that.
But American Sniper
is
excellent.
There was this other movie I can't remember. I know I saw it in school. It was about. It was in Germany. It was like talking about the concentration camp. I can't remember what's it called.
Oh, there's a ton. There's Schindler's List.
I don't
There
think it's
is
that
the boy with the striped pajamas.
That one. It was the boys
Oh,
with striped
man.
pajamas. That was the one.
That
That one was a crazy movie.
There ought to be, I think, a Holocaust Day. Honestly, like a day to remember the Holocaust. That's. I think there is, and if there is, the week that it happens, we need to definitely talk about it. But
I mean, if you think about it, there's still concentration camps in different places.
I don't know if they're concentration camps per se,
I
but
think there still
prison,
is.
but prisons. Essentially, what concentration camp is prisons, is so a lot of folks that are being illegally detained for their race, gender, creed,
Yeah.
whatever, and then they're just placed. I think you could still consider that.
You don't think there is no concentration camp in like a different country?
I don't know. I mean, prisons are concentration camps. That's what I'm saying. Because
wasn't concentration camps worse than prison though?
but the conditions are worse. Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
because like I know.
I mean, it's possible.
If I was thinking, because I think if you watch the boy with striped pajamas,
The boy with the striped pajamas. Yeah.
they were showing how they got whipped, how they got like they didn't get them food sometimes, not even drinking water.
They would even trick them, saying like one sick way. The sick thing that they did was that they also would tell them that you have to go take a shower, but it's actually to put them to the gas chambers.
Yeah.
But it's the atrocities for that, and you know that's why with Memorial Day, just trying to steer it back to these are the kind of things that all of these men and women in the past had to contend with, and had to see firsthand why they were fighting. Like Band of Brothers is another one that I recommend. Disclaimer: a lot of these movies, moms and dads, these are very, very heavy movies. So please use kids use your discretion, and it's heavy stuff. So you may want to.
I feel like some parents already know that.
Yeah, I know, but just putting the record out there so this way I don't get one of those parents that calls like, my kid watched Saving Private Ryan and saw all of these blood and guts and everything like that. But then I would also say, well, lady, that's what it's like. That's the sacrifice that a young a young man did on Normandy so that you and I can have this conversation in English, not in German or Japanese. But uh, the the verse that always gets me whenever I think of Memorial Day is that Jesus says, "No greater love does a man have than this, than a man would give his life for his friends." If there is a verse that encapsulates Memorial Day, it's that. Because again, we're focusing a lot on World War II, but yeah, in the Revolutionary War, during the battles of Lexington and Concord, it wasn't teenagers, man. It's little boys.
Little boys, yeah.
Boys. There's a great song, revolutionary song, which I like called Chester. I like to sing it during the 4th of July. And it talks about that their generals were beaten back by beardless boys. And it's true. During Lexington and Concord, the soldiers that were fighting in Lexington and Concord were little kids. We're kids with muskets and just doing guerrilla tactics on these highly trained British soldiers. And even though, so they were able to beat them back to Boston. And then Bunker Hill. Bunker Hill is considered a loss. But like most of the American troops were wiped out. The leading general there was just a doctor. Can you believe that? He was just a doctor, and he's like, we need a lieutenant for this assault, or for this defense. He's like, I'll do it. And dies that same exact day.
I'll give you a good book, because I think this was the one you told me about the Civil War. The Killer Angels.
Oh, you've read it?
Yeah, remember? I told you about it. I read it.
Yes.
That's a really
good transition.
It's a really
good transition.
Book. Like, I think, because I don't really read that much, but it was like when I was I think I was a teenager. Maybe I was like in my 19 and 20 years old. I know Fred told me to read this book called The Killer Angels, and
Michael Shara.
all I'm just saying is
excellent
that book is actually really good,
Excellent book. Like, just to go in terms of the loss, there's that one part, the at the very end, General Lee. Is talking to General Beauregard, and it goes, "Sir, why don't you reform up your division?" And then General Beauregard looks at him and goes, "General Lee, I have no division."
And then, it was crazy, because I think it was, if I was thinking from when you're reading it, General Lee did not even understand why they were having this war.
No, I think he did.
But he was he was kind of like against it, wasn't he?
No, there's
because when you're reading the book, it seemed like he was kind of against it a little bit.
He was because with him, from what I've heard, he wasn't like a traditional slave owner. He's very kind to slaves, from what I heard. But one of the things, because what in Civil War, it was also not just about slavery. It was states' rights versus everybody's rights, or something like that. So like our rights as states to be able to govern ourselves was something that they also said. So in that particular vein, it's an attack on Virginia. And that's the way it was before. The state that you came from was a lot bigger sometimes than the whole country as a whole. So he would consider, like, Virginia's my home. So you're attacking Virginia, so I've got to defend Virginia. But I think with General Lee, I think it was like it's just what we got to do, because on both sides, you look at most records, he was the most respected general on both sides. Like, in some Union camps, actually most all Union camps, you can speak wrongly of General Lee.
I do gotta mention this. Since we're in this topic, I know we shouldn't, I don't like to get political or anything like that. But here's one thing I'm gonna say, is that, I don't know if it's still doing it, but remember how, I think it was last year, when we were, like, messing up public figures, like war generals?
Yeah.
I so disagree with that. Even if, like, I understand maybe some people felt some type of way with it, but at the same time, it's like, we had to get educated better.
Right, exactly.
I feel like, there's no reason to knock down these, like, statues of war heroes, Like, you should never go, because I think Robert Lee was another one, right? General Lee, they knocked
they did,
right?
Yeah.
And, we had to be more well educated on those type of things because some of it might be those are historical figures,
Figures.
you know, and some people look up to them, maybe some people don't, but at the end of the day, it's like that's our history right there, you know.
Right.
And if we don't know our history, I hate to say it, but it always happens. History always repeats itself.
Yeah. The old adage, not only does history repeat itself, but if we don't learn history, we will become history.
Yeah, basically.
So that's why I love Memorial Day, because it helps us to recall our history. And I'm glad we're going through the wars here. It's awesome. This is what I had hoped for. But even from the wars of 1812, War of 1812, I need to study it a little bit more, but what I love about the War of 1812 is that it's the first major time where America as a country is fighting its own war.
There's only one war that I still don't understand why we had it, and that was the Vietnam War.
Vietnam War, it stopped communism. That's, I think, that
Is that the reason?
most, because here's
I felt
here's defenseless South Vietnam, and then communist supported.
Because it was. Yeah, I was so confused with it because I'm trying to remember it now. Because I'm thinking to myself like, to be honest with you, I felt like at first it felt like when you learn about it, it's like, what was the point of having this war? You know, like you look at it, because even we know someone, and he even said that there was really no point of that war.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people also believe, but I think the initial crux of it, because again, it's the middle of the Cold War. A lot of times you'd have what's known as proxy wars, where Russia would give arms to this country, and then we would give arms to the other country, and so they would fight it out. So it's not Russia versus the United States fighting. In this particular one, I think the United States wanted to actually get more actively involved. So that's why they decided to send troops there. But what was the mistake is that you were fighting a war, a conventional war, where it's like, all right, let's just send as many troops as we can, which is our strategy at the time. As many troops as we can into guys who have full home court advantage. And that's why we lost a lot of guys during that particular time, because you were fighting guerrillas with just sending troops. So if you've got one guy, one Viet Cong soldier with a machine gun, and you can't see him, and he's already set up booby traps all over, and then you're just sending wave after wave after wave after wave of guys, yeah, you're gonna suffer that. And that's where we had a lot of losses. I'm trying to think of what my favorite Vietnam movie would. Yeah, it would be Platoon, probably, because that talks about how a guy's just coming off of a plane, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna go do my time, and then completely changes him. Charlie Sheen is in that one. Willem Dafoe is in that one.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think
Another good one. Willem Dafoe, for all of you youngsters, if you've ever watched Spider-Man,
he's Green Goblin.
he's Green Goblin. But he has I can't even say it because that's the ending. But Willem Dafoe plays a very significant part in the movie Platoon. So I guess moving on in the conflicts, the Gulf War, I knew the Gulf War because it's the war that I saw the most as a kid. Because in like the 90s or so, both my uncles, I think, were in a troop ship in the Gulf War. And they were dentists, which is kind of interesting. And but the Gulf War, there were so many it was like the first like modern, like the concept of modern warfare. Yeah. That's where you had smart bombs.
You could also think
all of these different things.
You could also think of like war back in the in the Bible days. It's just like war was everywhere. War is everywhere.
As my dad said, it's like, as long as there is human thinking, there will always be conflicts. And if there's always going to be conflicts and disagreements, there's eventually going to be war.
Let me ask this question. Do you think there'll be a World War III?
Undoubtedly. It's just a matter of time.
Do you think there'll be a war, like a Cold War, or just like another civil war in America, or no?
If we have World War III, it will just be a matter of minutes before it will be all out nuclear war.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And when that happens,
You can't even escape that.
no, like they've even said that even if you were in a bunker or a nuclear submarine, it's gonna take so long for the fallout to really dissipate. Like I'm talking billions of years. They
Just
say.
gotta go to space.
Yeah, Elon Musk, sign us up.
You just gotta go to space. That
Yeah.
happens. No, but all serious though, it's just Memorial Day is a day to remember the fallen. Remember
Mm-hmm.
the people that risked their lives. Younger age. Teenager age. Little boy. Like Brother Fred said. In the Revolutionary War with boys. It's just that's what Memorial Day is, just to remember the fallen. And we shouldn't take it for granted.
Right.
I feel like, and this is me being honest, and I'm just being real. I feel like sometimes we do take stuff like this for granted.
Yeah, we do.
Especially like Veterans Day. When Veterans Days come, let's be honest, we hardly hope our vets out like that.
Yeah, that's true.
We
That's
hardly hope our vets out.
the. It's one of those things that I think people will argue that we're always so concerned, and I'm all about like helping everybody out, but our vets, I think, are also very much uh, disregarded, and they undertook something that a civilian did not choose to do, and just to treat them like trash is terrible. What they're I forget his name, which this is this that I'm that frustrates me. But there was a story that my dad was telling me about a Vietnam vet, and he guess how tall he is.
How tall?
He is as short as us,
Wow.
and he was one of the toughest, meanest, baddest Marines, and he was able to save a lot of lives, and was such a great combat leader. You know how he died?
Wow.
He was homeless on the street and got hit.
Wow.
And then it was a hit and run.
Wow.
The lady just hit him and then just drove off. And then so when I was talking to Matt about it's like we need to talk about heroes. I wonder nowadays, and I read a short study, thankfully, that most teenagers, most young people still believe like heroes are folks that inspire you and folks that do good and always provide hope, and I'm glad that that's still there. So in that same vein, we've got to be able to at least say, hey, like put a flag on a tombstone, lay some flowers on a memorial. Don't tear them down, but try to think about it, what it represented. That represented a particular war where a lot of people died so that our freedoms could be free. I do think what was it in Band of Brothers, which you have to watch. I think it was either there or another documentary, but he says the real heroes, are the ones that never came back. That's a deep line I think that we really need to think about. And think about the freedoms we enjoy. The freedoms that we enjoy today are bought at a price. That's the thing that we need to remember, that it costs a lot in order for our freedoms to be bought.
And if you want me to be honest with you, we probably all have we probably don't, maybe some of us don't even know, but probably down in our own heritage, if you go back into history, probably one of our family members back in the day was in the war.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's so crazy. I do more research. I didn't know that at least 4 or 5 recipients of the Medal of Honor were Filipinos.
Wow.
American Medal of Honors, mind you, were Filipinos. I was like, and Latin Americans, significant part of the war effort, and those are the heroes that we sometimes forget. Whether it's whatever race, creed, or color of your skin,
Shouldn't matter.
there are all of these great heroes. Like,
And it shouldn't matter, if they're fighting for your, okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I don't understand the whole point of racism, but if you know someone who's Filipino, Filipino, Chinese, Japanese, who were in the war that fought for America, you know, because there are some that are out there, you know, even Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, any Hispanic, you know, any Asians, any type. Don't be, you know, instead of being, you know, be nice to them. You know, don't treat them like they're not important, because in reality, if you want me to be honest with you, there's a lot of other race that also fight in the war.
Yeah. This is my challenge to everybody. If you do see, even though it's Memorial Day, in honor of those that fallen, if you find a vet, if you find a somebody that either has like a veteran hat, Vietnam vet, World War II vet, do something nice for them. Do something nice for them, whether it's just to pay for their groceries, pay for their cup of coffee, or just extend out your hand and say thank you. I think that's something that we ought to do this weekend, and actually not even just this weekend. Whenever you see a veteran, whether it's Memorial Day or Veterans Day or not, just thank them. Thank them for their service. I always love, like, whenever you see someone, just thank you for your service. I hear it when I go to restaurants sometimes, and then someone's like sees that they're a veteran, and then they always say thank you for your service. Always thank them for their service, and also remember a lot of their buddies that didn't make it back, and those are the true heroes. So, with us, normally we always end with the great phrase, you know, we don't love you, but we love you.
Wow.
Oh, we do love you. I'm sorry. I just got caught in the moment. It's we love you. We don't know you. That's it. We don't know you, but we love you, and there's a God above that does. But also on that vein, thank you, veterans out there, and also to all of those that gave up their lives. We salute you.
Big BT on my hat, wasn't expecting that far. Right
Yeah.
there. I was expecting that.
We salute you. So from all of us here at PV and Cashew, we wish all of you a happy Memorial Day. God bless America.